Hey, Josh Ewald here. First off, I'd like to start by admitting that I just started pronouncing the word economics within the last 48 hours, so pardon me if you get a couple of those good old fashioned economics still. Um, my apologies before we go forward. Economics. Right away. Economics. What is it? It's the study of human action, use of resources, and decision making. So if we take all that knowledge, put it back into the word economics, we're going to separate that into two sections: microeconomics and microeconomics and macroeconomics. Economics. We'll get better. Macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole. Microeconomics goes a little bit further, and it's the study of markets, firms, households, businesses, and individuals. And the main concept that keeps that ever changing research justifiable: scarcity. You see, people want things. Sometimes we need them like food and water. Sometimes we want them like cell phones and Starbucks. Sometimes a lot of people want the same thing at the same time. This results in scarcity. Sorry. Even though it sounds like the corniest Halloween movie ever, it means low stock, shortage, and or high demand. Here's some footage of scarcity in real life. The year 2014. Location: Walmart. The highly demanded item: a television. Now, obviously, scarcity can seem silly when it's looked at from this viewpoint. But when the item isn't TVs and it's gasoline or the roof over your head, then we'd all start asking ourselves, what are we willing to trade to maintain our lifestyle and fulfill our unlimited wants to the best of our ability with our limited resources? This is called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the best alternative when a choice is made. For example, what is my opportunity cost for attending school? I'm exchanging my time and dollars for education and networking. On the flip side of the factors of production, what did it take to get me here? I don't mean the work that I've put in to get to school. I'm talking about the steps the school takes to entice me to attend to enroll, and also what they'll do to educate and motivate me until graduation. And that's only a small portion of the factors of the production. Factors of production are fixed and variable inputs that a firm must consider to see goods and services output. Fixed meaning that the inputs do not change. Variable meaning that the inputs can increase or decrease, and usually do. Those factors of production look like this: natural resources, like raw materials, land, gas, electricity, crops, anything that's used like that. Next up, labor. That means human effort, physical and mental. Capital, the machines, equipment, the buildings that anyone uses to produce the product. Technology refers to the process or processes to produce the product. Entrepreneurship. Production involves many decisions and much knowledge. These factors of production must be considered no matter which market the firm is focused on, like the labor market, the goods and service market, the foreign exchange market, or the common market. The labor market is the market in which households sell their labor as workers to business firms or other employers. The goods and service market is a market in which firms are sellers of what they produce and households are the buyers. The foreign exchange market, the market in which people use one currency to buy another currency. Or the common market, an economic agreement between countries to allow free trade in goods, services, labor, and financial capital between members. Now, if we look at the labor market and goods and service market, we might see something like this. This is called a circular flow diagram. So we got this guy, Larry. Larry works in a mechanic shop. The mechanic pays Larry money for coming into work. Larry brings that money to his household. Larry's household needs Wi-Fi. A firm services the household with internet access. Larry gives the firm money for doing that. And that cycle continues between a lot of different firms and a lot of different households. All right, I knew that I'd never be able to convey the message properly about the production possibility curve, also known as the production possibility frontier. So I'm taking it back to the paper. That way I can kind of show you my ideas. The timeline that I wanted to talk about today would be weekly. That just makes it easy for me on the math. And the two topics, we are doing woodworking and a regular old schmegular job. We're going to put some columns up here at the top. They're going to be labeled A, B, C, D, and E. And we're going to say in that weekly time frame, if I was to do woodworking, maybe in the best week, I was able to do 4 woodworking projects. That's pretty awesome right there. On the downside, if I was able to do that, that would take up all my time. So as far as a job would go, I don't think that I would be able to even consider it. I'd be in that entrepreneur status there. I'd give that job a big fat 0. On the opposite side of that, if I was to say, hey, let's dedicate a whole bunch of time to a job, whether it be 9 to 5 or, a 16-hour job or 2 9-to-5s, whatever the case may be, I might have 80 hours that I can offer somebody. But that would mean that I would have no opportunity to do any woodworking there. But I know that that trade-off was there. So if the old boss was saying, hey, could you come back just for a little bit? I just could really use an extra hand here and there. And he'd say, yeah, maybe I could come back for 20 hours a week. Then I, as the woodworker, would have to know that I'm just trimming out some of my time from my projects there, and I might be down to 3. Then the boss would say, oh, that 20 hours is really helpful. So-and-so just left, I could really use an extra hand. It's the holidays coming along. Do you think you could just help out a little more? And that help out a little more turns into a permanent status. Now you're back at 40 hours per week that you were doing, and you're back down to 2 projects for the woodworking that you were doing. Then that new promotion comes along and the year end and all that is happening. You say, yeah, I'd be happy to come along. Sales are up and I'd love to do that. And the woodworking is down to 1 project per week now because of that. Now that we have this information, we're able to transfer that into a graph to better see where we're at here. We can label this top one, job, and this bottom one, woodworking. 0 is always here at the corner, so we're just going to put 1, 2, 3, and 4 because that's how many woodworking projects per week we were talking about doing. And for the job, we were talking about doing a whopping 80 hours per week. We're just going to trim this down here in 20 increments and 0s at the corner again. So then we were saying if I was able to do 1 woodworking project here, I'd be right down to 60 hours automatically. If I was to do 2, I'd be down to the 40. If I was to do 3, I'd be down to the 20. If I was to do 4, I'm an entrepreneur. And then the 80 would be up here, meaning I'm a full-time employee. Now, when we look at the curve, here it'll show us a lot of things. It'll show us scarcity because it shows that I cannot produce outside of my curve. To do something out here, that is impossible. Yes, at some point my chart may grow to where my curve may grow and I would get to that point. But right now, those resources are not mine right now. I have limited resources within the curve. On the opposite side of that, I can be in this area where I'm, say, producing 1 woodworking project and working 20 hours a week. This right here would show inefficiency because I'm not working to my fullest capability with all of my resources. And the opportunity cost here is shown by the specific number of job hours that I would have to give up in order to woodwork. And the trade-offs can be seen by noticing that if I do any woodworking, I would need to work at my job less. Or on the opposite side of that, if I do need to work at my job more, then I would need to notice that I'm doing a lot less woodwork. That completes my week 1 assignment for economics. My name is Josh Ewald. I appreciate your time.